Ramadan, for Muslims the fasting period. As Imam, Sadruddin Isharic leads the afternoon prayer at the central mosque in Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia and Herzegovina. The Imam is one of the country's most influential religious leaders. People listen to him, especially in times of crisis. Following the many attacks by radical Islamists in Europe, he is all the more dedicated to representing liberal, open-minded, Europeanized Bosnian Islam.
We, as the Bosnian Islamic community, reject every form of radical behavior. We are very aware of our situation. We are an old, traditional Muslim community in Europe with a responsibility to educate non-Muslims about our peaceful religion and to see that they accept it as such.
Former religious leaders of Bosnian Islam are buried in the courtyard of the central mosque. Unlike in very strict forms of Islam in the Middle East, these deceased leaders are venerated after their deaths, like they are in Bosnia's other religions. Sadruddin Isharic expects all Muslims in Bosnia to adhere to this variant of Islam.
Here, we have no mosques and no imams that don't have the valid decree of the Grand Mufti. So everything is within the system.
In reality, since the Bosnian War, fundamentalists have been steering certain villages in a different direction. We drove to northeastern Bosnia, where some villages near the industrial city of Tuzla are dominated by radical Salafists. After some hard searching, we found a prayer room in the Kula neighborhood. The prayer room has no minaret. The call to prayer is made on the street. Emir Çayić is the only fundamentalist in the region who was willing to talk with us. The Salafists demand that women wear full-body veils. They completely reject alcohol consumption. Their interpretation of Islam contrasts sharply with Bosnian Muslim traditions, which have been more tolerant for centuries.
The worship doesn't develop in Islam. Customs develop, but the worship doesn't. The worship must be commanded strictly by Allah and strictly by His Prophet.
The police keep a close watch on the Islamists. They are suspected of being in contact with radical groups in the Middle East and of being funded by them. They are opposed to Bosnia's European form of Islam. For example, the veneration of former clergymen at their graves.
They don't even explain to these people that it's a bad thing that those graves exist. But that wasn't the main reason we parted with them. Apart from that, there were certain irregularities in the way that Islamic community practices the faith, the way they don't actually do their job.
In the impoverished neighborhood of Kula, Emir Çayic's group is firmly established. The Salafists don't even talk with the official Islamic community.
Once you draw lines and you draw borderlines, and there are entering disagreement. You know where you are and you know where the other person is.
And yet, Imam Isharic in Sarajevo says all of Bosnia's Muslims belong to one Bosnian Islamic community, his.
It's still under control. Everything is under control. They are not any threat.
In reality, hundreds of radicals are said to have left Bosnia to join the fanatical IS fighters in Syria. Every evening since the beginning of Ramadan, Sadruddin Isharic's adherents break their fasts in celebration above Sarajevo's roofs. But the fundamentalists pose an increasing threat to this liberal, life-affirming European form of Islam.